What's happening, everyone? We are back. We are back. We are back again. Sounds like a song every time. I think it's the Eminem song. We are back. Shady's back. Back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Yeah, that one. That one. That's what I'm going for. That's the one. Going old school today. Giff's got me in the mood with his fit. He's got a fresh fit. Some of you may have seen it before. I'll bring him in a minute. But yeah, today is Giff-tec. We're going through Giff-tec. Talk about PulseMafia, Pulsar, all the fun stuff happening on PulseChain. A lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really cool tech on this chain. Definitely enjoying it. And get your question in the chat. We'll answer as many as we can. Go for about an hour or so. And I'm excited for this. A good chat in just a moment. Without further ado, welcome back to the show. Crypto Kool-Aid and Giffreware. How's it going, gents?
Hello, hello. How we doing?
What's going on, everyone?
Guess who's back? These two again. This is how many let's see, this is the fourth. I didn't call this one deep dive technically. However, this is the fourth time. I think both of you and the Connect was on before as well. But yeah, you gonna make it a good show? You guys aligned? Are you aligned for to give the people what they want today?
Always, sir. Let's fucking go.
LFG. I just got demonetized for that. Thanks, Kool-Aid. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm monetized. How's it like? What is the what should we start with? I think it's been a few weeks. I know that last time was a good one. We were talking about, I think, just Noble and Stable had launched as well on the Perma asset side around that time. What is the state of things of Giff-tec, gentlemen? What's going on?
What is the what? Sorry, I missed that one word there.
The state of the union address.
Gotcha. The state. Well, let's see. All contracts are working the way they're supposed to. There has been some interesting price moves across multiple ecosystems. We can narrow down into each individual one if you want, but for Giff-tec in general, the Perma tokens are doing what they're supposed to do, and we've got some updates on Pulsar. And then also we're looking at Mafia.
Yeah. And realistically, it's what's bringing innovation to PulseChain, right? Experiments that actually push what this chain is meant to do. And through that use case, actually have the veracity to keep conquering and doing new simulations and creating new ecosystems that we can bind together.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the conquering, I think definitely people are excited to hear about that and what devs may or may not be cooking, anything there. But yeah, you take a look at just the roundup of the interesting price action that's happened in the last few weeks. I'm sure. If I haven't got a question in the chat over yet, I'm sure I will. And across the assets, I think that's interesting too to look at and see what effect it's had on even the tokens that have been built upon and their perm assets as well. So you guys. You want to share, or you want?
Would you mind, Max? I'm not prepared to share.
I'm prepared.
Do you want to pull up the gift chart first?
Yes. Momentarily here. All right. So this would get PLS. And let's see, did I have this on multi-chart before? Yeah, they did. Okay.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
Yes.
Yeah. Professional. Yeah, like I couldn't remember, I think last time when I first learned about multi-chart, you guys told me about it. So, okay, cool. Let's talk.
So, I mean, obviously we've been dealing with a market for some time now that has been difficult to build in. I think a major issue with the gift chart itself is that, well, for one, we're still at 190 PLS per GIF, which is honestly still quite high. I can't tell you, or give you any financial advice on, what this price action is going to do going forward. But what I can tell you is that there was a considerable amount of Giff being removed from the market that was put on the market during the run up. So that being said, the chart's doing the best it can to preserve its kind of wrapped PLS pricing currently. And while that's running, the PGIF buy and burn is running. So that's been taking some of that PGIF supply off the market and burning that. The two tokens are fairly well bonded together in price action. So if you see some buy and burning happening on PGIF, you'll notice that usually GIF is following it in that price action.
And remember, that was the very first simulation that we started with our grander goals. Because when we started all of this, it was to bind two chains together through Pulsar. And so each of these iterations were a component to build upon, to expand upon, and to add more tools and use cases as we go forward. So you have to consider all of those things in their hierarchical lifespan on what we were doing while we're doing it with the greater goal and all. So you can never think that, no promises that the gift token itself and the Perma gift token will be the last stop of those two as we turn back around on the cycle.
So we talked about before too, Giff doing, technically doing the 10,000x of, and all that stuff too, went way up, super momentum. I mean, everybody flying like, woo, everyone. It's almost like the, I forgot how somebody puts it about everyone just dancing in the streets, all this stuff. Anyways, fun times not too long ago. However, after that, as you alluded to as well, I think we got to, what was the high? Was it near 3,000 wrap PLS? Something like that?
It went over 3,000.
Okay. And
which would be a 30,000x if you dab it from the bottom. I just like even numbers because I'm not the math guy. Giff is, so I like I like 3,000x.
But if we were to imagine that not everyone bought at that 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 PLS, then it's kind of like, okay, mint this coin, maybe they like the tech, maybe they like the founders, maybe they like everything else. How is this? What is the good news, or what is the? I know you could say a long-term game. You could say that things are working as intended. Obviously, no contract bugs and stuff like that, as Skip talked about too. But if you're looking at this chart and you came in the community and you were excited about see all the new perm assets and all this stuff, making all the coins deflationary, what is it that you're either excited about, or you're being like, okay, this thing, it's not over, that kind of thing. How would you frame that for people?
Oh, there's so many different. I mean, there's something we've talked about multiple times, and this is something we talk about in our meetings, is that you never want to paint yourself in a corner on your building techniques or the way you build. So we've avoided that entirely, which means that there's a lot of different directions we can go, as well as going in different directions at the same time. So what I mean by that is we built these protocols that are all working correctly. We pulled a whole lot of data points from it. And using all the data points that we pulled, we've improved on a couple. And now we're looking at bringing all of this together into Pulsar. So there is a lot to be looking forward to. There's a lot to be excited about. But yeah, when it comes to the price action, people were running around with glitter on their face for sure. And it's like when the founders, like, I am just shocked at what this price action is doing. I don't understand it. I said it multiple times on this stream. People were very hungry for green candles, I think, when Gifford started running and when the tech started coming out. Nowhere were we talking about how everything was undervalued and that the Giff-tec community tokens are all undervalued. Nobody ever said any of that. We're building experiments and we're running them in real time, and the market or the community decides what the value of those are at any given point in time. So, the best way to kind of phrase that is, the community can answer that question, like why it ran up so hard and why it pulled back so hard. the community can answer that question, not the founding team who's building this stuff. We've been as transparent and honest about, you know, what our goals are, the fact that these were experiments, the fact that we're experimenting in real time, that we're adhering to pillars. This is all stuff we've been talking about since day one. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. But we'll get to each of those phases as we get through this stream here, because I don't want to jump around too much.
Yeah, and one other thing is that, remember, we're building components onto other people's tokens. And as Richard said, if you want to help me take over the world, you have to participate. If you want to do something, you actually have to participate in what is going on. It's not a magical button in the sky, which is why I find PulseMafia really interesting, because you're wrapping decentralized finance in a game, which gets people engaged, not just on a 5-minute candle, but on a story they can engage with. And so using all of these components and interest points means that you have to participate. You have to show up, and you have to use your participation wisely. And we can talk about LP and all the rest of that type of stuff as we go through the stream. But remember that there is no magic button in the sky. People have to participate, and they have to do things in the correct manner, just like driving in traffic.
That's what I want to talk about too. Like what are the, you know, first of all, maybe some notes on LP. I don't know if you guys call it Axis. And I talking yesterday about he was doing some Giff-tec and had some notes there too as well. But LP portion, like how can the community, if you're in this participating, the ecosystem and stuff, you know, are there better or worse ways for LP? Like what happens when the flywheel stops? Like what can the community do if it is up to the community to make, you know, all these products succeed with the capital, the time and energy, the button clicking, the minting, the arbing, all that stuff too? You know, what are the tools they can use to help these, you know, not only GIF and PGIF, but, you know, each thing that's built on for other communities as well?
Yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, when it comes to LP, LP is a great tool to like enter and exit in a lot of scenarios. So if the price starts going down, you're trying to accumulate, LP and on the way down works like a charm. And then vice versa, you know, if you're trying to take a portion out on the way up, it's also a fantastic tool to do so. One thing to keep in mind is that depending on your position within the ecosystem or the token that you're exiting, you need to be very mindful about how much you're withdrawing from the ecosystem. And if you're trying to do right by the token, then essentially what you would want to do is pull your portion through LP and then immediately provide, you know, buy side support. And the interesting part about what I see typically on the LP charts, the V3 in specifically, is that a lot of people do not understand that you do not have to do concentrated LP. Like if you're just trying to support a price point, let's take GIF PLS for example. If it's running up like crazy and you're taking profits, you can inject some of your profits back into the LP on the buy side support, but you don't need to make some thick wall that just gets filled as soon as somebody comes along and decides to dump. And this is what scares a lot of people about providing buy side LP. Instead, what you can do is you can click full range and then move your range down underneath its current price so that all you're putting in is PLS. And then it'll show it's either going from like 0 to infinity or infinity to 0 or vice versa sort of thing. And what that does is the token would literally have to go to near 0 for you to be filled, which is like just never going to happen, right? So you're actually preserving your gains while you're help supporting the price at the same time. And I think that's something that's not really spoken about pretty much at all.
Can you talk about that versus just doing V2, doing symmetrical and stuff? Like is there something better for, I mean, I get, for example, for price go up at this point, you know, who knows if this is the bottom or these are the lows or otherwise, but like for people who want price go up and they're out there providing LP and stuff, they do V2, they do V3, what you suggested there, like what are some ways to help?
I mean, in general, you want a decent amount of V2, and then, you know, the rest can be on V3 side. I always get a chuckle when people look at, you know, the current state of the LP and how, like, $100 grand or 200 grand or 2 million really plays that big of a difference. Like, it's literally just people looking to exit, and that's usually when they whine the most about the LP. But as we've spoken about, there's different ways to use these tools other than cheating on 1 or 2 clicks of a button, right? And only the people who like to cheat on 1 or 2 clicks of the button really have an issue with LP positions.
Well, I could also say that if you're out there investing in a product and then it doesn't have, so LP is one portion of it, but LP in volume, like that aspect, I think is interesting too, where, okay, if you want to attract people to come provide LP and otherwise, what are they going to do? Are they going to earn fees? Are they going to use it as a way to exit? Are they like, what is a reason to provide LP if there's not a lot of volume? Kind of the chicken and egg in a lot of ways too, I think. So when something slows down, such as this, so I remember posting a screenshot of like it being on 9mm. It was like the top few in volume, for a while, and that was great for earning fees and just getting people involved in free marketing and stuff too. But when it's once we're down to doing a few $1,000s in volume instead of hundreds of thousands or $1 million worth of volume, just trying to think of what are some ways to, how are people incentivized? Like, what are people who are providing LP today? What are they like? What is their, I don't know, what is their plan? I guess, is it just to wait and because they believe price is going to go up, they believe volume is going to rise, they think devs are going to cook more? Like, what do you think? What do y'all think about that?
Well, if you're looking at LPing as a tool, then it really comes down to what you're using the tool to build. I mean, that's what it always comes down to. Like, in general, like, that's a very generalized question. So like, in generally speaking, I've never tried to lure people into providing LP to earn fees. Like, that's not my RMO. That's not anything we've really ever talked about. To somebody who enjoys to run LP, I mean, yeah, you kind of just want to look for high volume, low LP plays. So you find a token that's running hot on volume, and there's not a whole lot of LP, to be said or to be spoken of, especially if there's not a whole lot of V3 LP, because that does play a part. Then that's where most LP, liquidity providers would like to go. I mean, typically. So was there some pretty good fees on, GIF and Wrap PLS and PGIF and all that stuff? Yeah, absolutely. But that was never the design. That wasn't part of any sort of design to encourage more LP or to promise a certain percentage of gains, where today you're at 4,000% APR and then tomorrow you're at 2% APR. Like, we don't really play those games.
Right. Well, also remember, like, again, experimental tech, doing things in components, simulation, not speculation. The pillars are basically what we are defining as we go forward. And when more things are added on top to perma tokens and different experiments and conclusions are solidified, you're going to see a lot more complete system of everything on the where and how on everything. And that's going to be exceptionally interesting moving forward when we get to those stages. But of course, this isn't press magic dev button. It takes time to do things right, to do things well, so that code is complete and flawless in the execution as we go through those stages.
A great segue too into just why does the flywheel stop? We're looking at iBurn, ICOSA right here. iBurn, people aren't aware, 1,500 PLS per ICOSA to mint iBurn. And ICOSA burn.win right now under 800, over 971 here. Is it, we talked about extensively before about how, when you mint something, it's really hard to sell for less than it's worth. Like, you're totally, the incentive structure, the tech side is like super solid on that piece. However, as of now, the market is deciding, if you will, that it's worth
one. You want to look at ICOSA, not ICOSA.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Why wouldn't it be somewhere in the middle?
Well, it was created originally for the bridging aspect to bind the ICOSA side to PulseChain. So as a parameter, you have to look at what the core of those two idioms would be.
Yeah, I mean, even this one, let's see. I'm pretty sure it's below the price of both of them. Let's see. I mean, that was the point here. Let's see. 738. Oh, is it close? Okay, 738. Maybe it's pretty. It's okay. Maybe it's pretty close for ICOSA. Either way, I mean, it's not 1500 PLS plus that, right?
Sure.
The point is being, how does the flywheel not burr on this one?
Well, zoom out. Go to the daily chart.
Daily chart of ICOSA or
sure. Now, yeah, get that readable there.
Just hit login auto.
Oh yeah, login auto. Okay.
There you go. Okay. So that spike right there of over 2,400 PLS per ICOSA. What was going on around that time period?
Now imagine that is when iBurn launched.
It is. That is the iBurn launch. And not only did the iBurn launch run the price or the value of both ICOSA and EICOSA, but it also kick-started the HSI auctions. People started to take advantage of that. I'm pretty sure there's at least one gentleman in the chat right now who was able to really take advantage of that arbitrage. We added value to EHEX. That started pumping that. We did everything we were supposed to do. Everything worked.
It's the participation aspect.
Unfortunately, there was some people who did not like what we were doing. They could not articulate why. They could not tell us exactly what the problem was, but they had a personal problem with it. So they went out of their way to make sure that this price chart got sold off. And when this price chart sold off and there was no adoption within that community, now all of a sudden we're in a situation where people don't want to hold it. Why don't they want to hold it? Well, because the core asset doesn't want it. So this is why the price is down.
Well, there's another flip to that. Let's look at the LUSD people, because they are crushing with the tools that they are given. And they are utilizing those things, looking to build on top of them. And that really is the core component when you want to look at what these tools are meant to do. It's meant to enable a community to give them the tools necessary to not only make their token deflationary, but to also build into a perma hive of different further slates of tech that will come. So it not only helps their initial token inherently, but it also bootstraps them into many, many things that'll come down the future with suites of different gears leveling up.
Just on, I think the LUSD people have been minting and burning like crazy. So that is definitely an example of a community that's been participating. And
can you go check out the PLUSD or the LUSD on GoPulse so we can see the burn rate?
One sec though. I just wanted to just to wrap up on iBurn too.
Sure.
If it is what happens to a perma asset when the community, like for people holding iBurn and stuff right now, like is it, what revitalized it? What is it? Does it turn into a meme coin? Like after all that economic energy was put into it too? Imagine people are like, who are holding iBurns, like, okay, I'm just going to wait for this thing to take off one day. ICOSA is going to be, great again, that sort of thing.
Well, the great part about crypto is now it's out there. And we know that it works correctly. We know that it's got a decentralized buy and burn attached to it on the front end. We know that it can kickstart the value proposition for ICOSA, Hedron, Hex, and just by affiliation Communis. That's interesting. That seems like that could be used at some point in the future. And that's really the core of it. Is this the Nana token that as soon as people stop talking about it, that it literally disappears? No. This has actual mechanics built into it that we know that is provable on chain that it works. So again, cannot give any financial advice being a founder. But it seems like it is a quite useful tool that a lot of people like to disregard and ignore the fact of what it's accomplished. And they want to talk about tokens by affiliation that eventually someday may help Hex. Yet we did it in real time, and they just act like it never happened.
Sure. And let's just take the simple fact that like what I do with my career is I build games. And that's why I'm so critically excited for PulseMafia and what they're doing. I'm not a founder. I'm literally there as a professional speculating and helping. But I can talk to you, then Giff knows. I mean, our first conversation, we first started hanging out, is when we're going to make Giff of the Realms too. And I'm like, no, do not use the word making game in the same sentence, please.
That's right. You promised me.
Oh, no, we will. We will. But
somebody say game theory?
Well, not theory, practicality. So the real difference is that I wonder what happens when someone makes a game that includes perma assets. I wonder. And so like there's many ways to juice this moving forward, especially with what, you know, Giff and I are doing with FanForge on the other side and all sorts of things. And that's what's really interesting about gamifying something or putting game mechanics on something is it gets people out of the 5-minute chart. Because that's the only thing people have to look at, and to look at something more proactively where you are engaged, you are actually interested. And because of that, it has so much more tangible use cases because you're part of the story, you're part of the game, you're part of the experience. And that's what SocialFi is going to be, what Giff and I are focusing on, which is the next leg up of GameFi, is injecting your socialness, your social creation, your personal aspect into those experiences.
DJ Bomber, what happens with Ibram when Alex does V2?
I already had commented on the chat. But I can basically say it depends what Alex does. So there's no way to know what Alex is going to do on that idiom, pro or con. He may include it, he may not. But there's also a timeline from what the last stipulation that he said on when you can exchange tokens. And if you miss that timeline, let's say you're not paying attention to every crypto stream out there, because God knows that's exhausting, especially if you stake something to set it and forget it for a year or two. Well, if you didn't exchange your tokens within time, then iBurn has a very feasible opportunity, especially if we extend it past just decentralized finance into GameFi, SocialFi, and more webbing of the, you know, the future. Remember, the first blockchain was ham radio. The first Bitcoin was EverQuest gold mining. The first NFT was an attachment on an email with a read-write receipt. And the first DEX was the World of Warcraft or the auction house. You have to understand your history to really push yourself to what things are actually going to be.
One more if we go back to stable Fast Abdul. If what is those iBurn ICOSA farming pair that gives iBurn new utility?
I love Fast.
He knows a guy.
Do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Fast is a dope guy. Also, he gives 2 fucks about everything.
Minimum 2 fucks.
Minimum 2 fucks given.
That's a t-shirt right there. Minimum 2 fucks. What do you want me to look up for it? You want me to look at the LUSD price chart?
No, go to gopulse.com so that way you can see how much burned.
Of the
Let's get them all.
Okay, yeah, let's start with, since we're doing ICOSA, let's just start with that real quick. That one's easy one. Yeah, as Giff was talking about, we've talked about these stats a lot. Is it 25? I thought it was 23% before. It's always been 25.
Well, somebody came through and minted a bunch of iBurn recently. And actually, It wasn't me. I'm not just like throwing it out there like it was me or something. It was nobody part of the team. Somebody random came through and minted some. And then now the is refilled the buy and burn for ICOSA or for iBurn. So now, you know, if you go back to the front end, the timers change so you can execute that buy and burn quicker now. Yeah, jump over decentralized. Yep. So see, it was basically ran dry, and now there's 1.9 million pulse is now in there. So they came through and they burned a decent amount.
Nice.
And so all these things stack on top of each other. Remember, components, and each component waylays.
What's that percentage right there, by the way, before Max jumps away from that? Go ahead and finish Kool-Aid, but before he jumps away from that page, I'm going to do the quick maths. But go ahead and complete.
No, I was just saying that everything of this is a stat component, almost like levees in a lock to go through the Panama Canal. You have stages on how these things work, and they retroactively still bind into momentum in the future. An avalanche was just started by one snowflake.
Yeah, and so currently it's somewhere around, I didn't get the exact numbers inputted, but somewhere around 58% of the iBurn's been bought and burnt out of existence. Yeah, if you just take the 2.7 divided by the my numbers are a little off, but it's over 50% for sure. Has been burnt out of existence compared to its current supply. So that's pretty sweet.
That's approved Larry math, by the way.
Yeah,
over 50%.
Yeah. So this buy and burn, this decentralized buy and burn works great. You can run it every 3 minutes now and throw 50,000 pulse into it. It's cool.
Nice.
All right. So that's the ICOSA was at, what did you say? Was that 25%?
25, yeah.
Of the bridged over ICOSA. Okay, cool. And then what do you got for the regular ICOSA? I wonder if any's been burnt. I'm sure a little bit.
I'm not sure it has that stat. Let me see. So last time I looked, it didn't. Oh, no,
there
it
you
does.
go. 2.4%. That's what's up. All right.
2.4%.
That?
Not making not the number one, but it's definitely on the list. Yeah, number 5.
Max, do you know how much ICOSA was burnt before iBurn went live?
How much ICOSA was burned before? Oh, is that a trick question?
Question.
Well, I guess we are assuming no other protocols ever burned it, which is, unless anyone knows of one, let me know. But from what I understand, iBurn is the only protocol to burn, and especially buy and burn ICOSA.
That's cool. It's a deflationary token. It wasn't deflationary before. Now it is.
And that's the whole premise of sending it to the debt address, is so it's actually trackable. Now, if something actually wants to be destroyed, that's what the Perma asset's for. So it's two different mechanics that you're playing against each other and binding to each other.
What else we want to look at? So we got look at some Nope.
We'll go to Giff. We never stopped off.
We're not talking about Giff. Nobody's here for Giff, man. We'll cover Giff in a moment. We'll save the grand finale for a moment, because I know you got some good nuance on that.
Cool.
1.3% of Nope. So
not bad. We gotta check out the charts real quick on this.
Number 10 holder of Nope is the burn address, by the way.
Love it. Love it. Jump over to your multi-chart screen.
Let me add Nope and Noble.
Yeah, I thought you had it up. Sorry.
Oh, we're just gonna flood his stuff.
Okay. It's okay. I can do it. And then I'm gonna have to push him around.
I know.
Yeah, you're gonna want the PLS pair.
For both?
For both, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it should be, and then I can
no PLS. Yeah, you're good. Go ahead and throw that on Price It and Pulse.
But I was gonna get them side by side, but I got to, because I put it down there, it still won't go side by side. Yeah. Okay.
Cause you more time.
Yeah. That's right. I'm doing it live. Okay. You want the daily? You want the 4?
Daily's fine.
Okay.
You can get that to load, and then you'll put it on the daily. Just look at Nope real quick. Put it on the daily and zoom out a little bit.
By the way, shout out to Archie from PulseMafia.
So right there, you can kind of, if you drew lines on what's happening right there, you could basically draw a pennant pattern before the drop off, before the sell off. You have like a pennant pattern, right, where it's like compressing value. It's the trades are getting more and more tight until it sells off to the downside. And I'll tell you, from my experience, it almost always breaks to the downside. Those pennant patterns, it's funny when I see people draw it and then they point like it going up after that. It's like, dude, it's so rare. It's so rare. But anyways, it breaks to the downside, and then you start to see some action, some buys. So you see some large wallet holders coming in and supporting that price point at that dip. And then you see the burning of some more Nope, like kind of around the same time. Now, if you want to go down to the Noble wrap PLS price, let's take a look at that one. Okay. So this one, so you can see the sell-off at the very least. I know it's cut off there, but you can see the sell-off. And then you can see the buying back up again. So this is just essentially the bottom of that V on the bigger chart of the NOPE token chart. So this is kind of doing something very similar. So, it's buying up and burning Noble supply, but it's also very tightly paired with NOPE token via the 9-inch DEX. So it's essentially getting two supportive mechanisms of price, bonded liquidity and the buy and burn from the actual protocol working. So also looking very good. Looking very good.
See a W for winning.
That's a big W right there.
That's right. But remember, like we already said, it's about participation and those who use the tools correctly and then do what they need to do. I know there was a couple points in the chat I want to talk about LUSD and stable and how they can get the 2-to-1 ratio because they've been doing some really cool stuff. Like they've got AMM bots that they're putting in to buy and thicken liquidity, thicken the supply, basically out-jeet the jeeters because they're automatically putting scripts on top of it to help handle. Ooh.
That's a lot burnt. 724 billion burnt.
Boom.
Dang.
Number one holder of PLUSD appears to be the burner address.
Man, I feel like cool.
Shout out to Giff-tec. Shout out to Giff-tec.
I feel like we're going around and every crypto we touch is better off today than before we showed up.
Just wait till we put gamefi and socialfi on that shit. Oh my God, now we're cooking with gas.
So listen, all we're doing is providing the tools. All right. We're providing the tools to the community. I did not mean that we're taking credit for the burning. That's not what I mean. The community gets the credit for the burning, especially some of the top benevolent whales within the community. They're the ones that set the tone and that they teach everybody how to use the tools. And then they show by example, right? So this is amazing. So 4.3% burnt is staggering. That's a lot of economic energy going into it. And I'd love to answer this question on the ratio thing. This is the easiest question in the world. You sell LUSD for SPOL, and then it gets to 2.1. That's what you do. I mean, that's just the ratio we're talking about, right? Like how many SPOLs go into an LUSD, or technically backwards.
Sure, but there's also the other side where you can pull the ratio down on the other side, and that's why they were doing their bots to go out to PLS to then go back into LUSD to then push the price up. So it's a duality on how you want to climb one side while the other one is sitting as a metric or like a weather meter that goes back and forth. So you can play both games at the exact same time. It's not just one road that takes you all the way there. It's a multi-threaded process. Since I know Archie's in here, you know what's going on, Tam? Think about it like a tech tree. How you're actually displaying your resources out and how you're building on those localities of that is exactly how this works. It's not a one size fits all. And in fact, the more that you build your foundations in multiple different sides, the stronger the whole thing punches up unilaterally as a whole. Again, if you actually think of this as a real game, now you're starting to understand the fine finance.
100. And it's interesting because and maybe this is my fault. Maybe this is my fault when I was explaining the buy and burn early on. Is I said that the idea of the buy and burn is to help try to keep pace with the ceiling, right? That ceiling price, so where the arbitrage happens. That was probably a mistake for me to explain it that way. A better way to explain it is it's just an extra mechanism to help keep the token supply in check. That's probably the better way to explain it, because it's the community who dictates where the price ceiling is on any token, because it's the community who's buying and selling and also causing the the PLS to go to the buy and burn address and the buy and burn to be run, and et cetera, right? So I think a lot of people got it in their heads that the buy and burn alone would keep it at ceiling price. And that's just not feasible. That's not enough. It's great to have, and it helps the process, but you got to have a community understand where the ceiling price is and to do what they can to keep it there.
Is that the selling point to communities? I think when you mentioned it, it just really struck me as something important. As Giff-tec, all the coins that Perma asset's been made for, I don't know what the evidence is otherwise, that they have been made better in some way. Their tokenomics have been improved. They've been inflationary, like what another asset can do for a token on PulseChain. So is that the pitch to communities? Is ones that want to participate and want to have a deflationary coin and want to be a part of this thing? Is that like, hey, look at the ones that came before. How are they not better off after Giff-tec was applied?
Absolutely. I mean, that's hard to miss. If you're missing that, if you're not understanding that, and you're a leader of a community, you're a founder of a token, then you just haven't done your research. And so it's not going to be up to us to come to you and sell you on the points and to show you the evidence. Like, everybody should be able to find that information out on their own. But yeah, absolutely. We're here to burn your core token, add a new mechanic to your ecosystem, add a little bit of complexity to it so as to help drive the points home. And then you basically, you're combining communities and you're trying to win together.
Right.
That's the whole point.
GIF, there's a big glaring 251 million GIF that have been burned.
Wow. 25%.
Does your body feel inflamed?
It's just funny because when I see the roadmap in my head that we're not allowed to show, or technically Giff tells me to get back on the pony, I'm not even really allowed to talk about it with him. But what I actually see in the future that Perma tokens will do, what Perma GIF will lead the charge. It's the tip of the spear in. Man, like, it is just going to be wild. But things need to mature organically and naturally, just like a price chart.
Is that what people are missing? The forest for the trees type of thing, I guess, is like the burner address has 25% of all the tokens of an asset that can be made into, or that another asset could be made from PGIF. We'll talk about in a minute as far as the burning and stuff goes there, of something that all the Perma tokens have this, like they're aligned to burn PGIF. And how, you can connect. We talked about it a lot before, how the PGIF and GIF are same token, but the PLS, the minting, burning, all that stuff too. But just, is that price has went down from all-time highs a lot. Everyone's like, well, just throw everything else out the window. I don't care about all the burn coins. I don't care about all the tech it can be applied to. I don't care about, all these things. Is it that just what with the last few weeks have been, it's just like, oh, the price went down. So, everything's like, all the stuff we talked about, how's that not the thing that should be the spotlight should be on right now?
Well, it's because people don't only just want to look at a 5-minute chart. That's why, PulseMafia is vastly fascinating. Hold on, where I go. Vastly fascinating is because there's so much bloody things that you can do when you stop treating it like Peppa the Pig and you need your 5-year-old helmet on and you really need it explained to you, oh, the complexity is too important. Well, if you just play a game, are you not entertained? What if all of that was handled under the hood with just being entertained? If you pay people to be entertained, you have pure market fit, not product market fit. And then you have play and earn at the same time. What if instead of just earning yield by clicking a button and waiting, you're actually engaged in a game, an experience, or a show? Just like watching a movie. Now you're really starting to cook with some serious gas, not just a 5-minute chart. It's really the fascinating way of the future is what we're going to see. Like, centralized finance is great, but it's not really engaging. Or people that do understand it, it's too complex. That I love it. I need to.
Did you say something about dev cooking? Did anybody say dev cooking?
I heard it somewhere.
He's taking a chunk out of your cheek, though. Don't trust that Max with anything. Chunk out of your cheek. I was watching to see if you're going to like nip that eyeball.
Looks good. It looks good. But just to kind of answer or follow up what you were kind of insinuating or asking, and along with some of the comments in the chat there, it's simply this: if the whole idea with the perma assets, or I shouldn't say the whole idea, but one of the key facets of it is when a perma token comes to your community, it's not everybody should burn all their tokens for the perma asset, and then that's going to make everything better. It's like, no, not at all. Actually, we're just trying to convince you guys to get everybody to burn a little bit. That's it. Just to burn a little bit. Like one way you could look at it is currently 25% of the GIF has been burned, right? So you could say that in a perfect world, every holder of GIF burnt 25% of their assets, which means they still hold 75% GIF, 25% PGIF. That's the ideal world. You burn a little bit because you know it helps the ecosystem. It helps what the goal is to burn the core token, right? And unfortunately, what happens a lot of times is, people don't think in sizes of their bags, their current bags, right? Like you should always be thinking in percentages because of this, right? Just because somebody comes forward and they say, "Oh, I burned 100,000 GIF today," right? And because they were saying this in the chats and stuff as the price was going up like crazy. It's like, doesn't mean that you need to go out and obtain 100,000 and then burn it yourself, right? So you could say that you're the same, you're of the same caliber. What really you want to do is figure out what's the percentage you're comfortable burning, and then just sticking to that. So
Sure.
if you're DCAing, right? Like say you stick to 10%. Say you're always going to burn 10% of your GIF every time you buy. When you DCA, you buy, I don't know, $1,000 worth of GIF, and you take 10% of that and you burn it for PGIF, right? And then that's how you're DCAing into your asset. Maybe your favorite asset is Nope. The Nope token looks amazing on the chart right now, right? And green candle is going to make us all bullish. So, the Nope token's making it a little bullish of what they're doing over there now. And same thing, you want to get an exposure, get your exposure, come up with your percentage, burn that amount to keep the motor going. And every time you DCA, you're burning a little bit more. And it has a network effect, right? And that's kind of the goal. If it was ever portrayed that the idea is to burn all the tokens for the perma asset, I apologize for that if it ever came off that way. That was never really the intention. And I don't believe I've ever actually said that. And I feel like I've always said that we're going to drive value into PGIF as time goes on, because if you drive value into PGIF, then it helps GIF, right? But it won't necessarily work the other way around. So as we come up with new experiments that we want to run, it's more than likely going to have something to do with PGIF for sure. So that should be bullish to all you PGIF holders. But if you're lopsided and you're overexposed on PGIF, eventually, if you ever decide to DCA in again, to just stick to the core asset for a little while until you get your percentages a little bit better.
There's also the other thing I would like to say is that you can't technically upgrade the native asset. If things are upgraded and use cases is used to build upon perma assets will have additional use case, whether let's just call it a simple term, staking or yield or something even more complex. The native token is where it starts. It's the egg, not the chicken, right? And so like you can't have really the chicken or the egg conversation without having all the other fulcrums and measures in play. But that's also not a today conversation. So it's just something to consider when you think about long tail, no promises, all the rest of that fun things, that the ecosystem that we are building has legs, never painted in a corner, and is very, very, very scalable as we go through each simulation, not speculation.
Awesome. I want to move on.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we got two more things to cover.
Let's move into. Wait, is there anything else you want to wrap up with Giff-tec before we move over to Pulsar?
I think we're good. I feel like this is everyone here that's like, oh, the price price went down. It's like, well, don't forget about the tech. Don't forget about all the amazing
tech is
burning.
there, the tech is working, and it went
the
way too
communities.
high, guys. You came in and you bought too hard. You bought way too hard. But it's all good. It's all good. Like, listen, that doesn't change anything that we're deciding to do. It doesn't change our future implementations, doesn't change how we're going to experiment. But with extreme volatility, this is what happens. It always has. It has always happened this way.
Yeah, because then when that happens, you automatically get the cheats. So we got two big topics to talk about, Pulsar and PulseMafia. Unless you want to extend your time, Max.
Nope.
Go.
We got 7 to 8 minutes on each one. So you guys
it's
are
called a hard stop. It's called a hard stop. And so
too much time on charts, man. Charts are boring.
It's really sunny outside. I really enjoy going outside, touching grass and stuff.
All right. Well, let's throw in 2 things on Pulsar. And there's been a lot of development on Pulsar that's happened recently. And so I'm only going to share what I think the community probably already knows, but just to reiterate it on stream, is the fee to mint Pulsar will be variable. We have found that is the best way to go with all of our experimenting between Giff, ICOSA, Nope, and LUSD. We found that the variable rate is the way to go. And that's why at the beginning, when everybody was like, hey, your fees are too high, nobody's going to mint. And I'm like, guys, just calm down. It's not in the white paper. It was just an example. It was an example of like to wrap your head around what the protocol fee is and what it could look like, that sort of a thing. But the way it stands is that we will be using a variable fee. That is the only way to go. I've seen data on both the upswings and the downswings, and it's just the better way. It's the superior mechanic, so to speak. So that's going to be the biggest news. The second biggest news is I'm wrapping up a couple of the final testings probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then after that it should be go time. So we're eyeballing the massive inflation days of Titan X, which should be in the first week of August. No expectations on when we'll launch, but everything is looking good. We made some strides forward this last week, and I just wanted to keep you guys up to date.
So you would say two or more weeks, 2 to 3 more weeks, 2 or more weeks. I mean, the community is definitely familiar with 2 more weeks, so you nailed it. But you're serious about 2 to 3 more weeks? You think that's the running timeline that you don't think it's going to get pushed out another 2 to 3 more weeks?
Well, I mean, the first time we streamed on Pulsar, the very first time, we said that we are eyeballing the first week of August because there's a huge inflation date there. We knew about this inflation date a week after Titan X launched. This was back in October. So the dates have never changed. We've always been eyeballing August. Now, sometimes we're being a little what's it called? Jumpy. Like we're like, oh, we should get it now. We should just do it now. Just do it now. Like, let's just get it out there. And it's like, I think there's good reasons to be well timed on your launches. I think it's pretty important. So that's where we're at. And the good news is we've waited most of the time. So most of the time of waiting is in the past. So going forward, we're getting down to the deadline.
And that is the secret about a perfect storm, is that things have to be executed at the perfect time to bind perfect reality into existence. If COVID had never happened, Hex would have never pumped because no one would have learned to use a webcam. No one would have been needed a community. No one would have been looking for something on YouTube. It all was a perfect storm of externalities that created the momentum and volatility, and more important, the community bonding to create those things.
All right, we got to switch to
Mafia
gearheads.
Yeah, something you guys, anyone in the chat didn't catch my interview with Jacob the other day. It was a really good interview. I enjoyed it. And these guys, I mean, if you look at the families, you can see the gearheads up in the ranks there. Up in the ranks, it looks like instead of building DeFi products, these guys are just video gamers now. So everything that's boding well with everyone. That's bullish. Is that bullish? Is video gaming bullish?
It's not only bullish because, again, What is more important to you than a story, besides obviously walking outside and seeing sunshine? Now, what distracts you from toxicity? Giving a place where you can duke it out instead of going on Twitter caring. What gives you more ability to earn yield and earn and play than a platform that does it, where you don't have to understand, wow, really hard flow graphs? I mean, there's only like 6 nodes there. But if you explain to them like a game, you played that before. You know the difference between tic-tac-toe, checkers, and chess. You may not have to know how to play chess versus Go, but you do understand the concepts. So like the rough idioms on how all these things can be used and taught is a lot more simple, because when people want to understand technicalities, they're like, oh my God, explain it like I'm 5. But if you play a simple game, the mechanics aren't really that hard. And that's what's really beautiful about PulseMafia, is it really adheres to Mike Sellers' conversation that if you can build a game in an Excel spreadsheet, you can build it in physical reality. And you can see it if you're trained from the wiki on how it'll work. But that's not really the important part. The important part is that PulseChain was built for games like this. And what's great is that it's componently rolled out through an early access model, not a sacrifice or all the rest of this stuff. Yeah, there was a different community that it got merged into, but that was Jacob's first strike at a PvP-based game ecosystem, right? He's doing the simulation, not speculation. He's doing the promises, principles, not promises, mythos. All the stuff that we believe in, I can see happening in this game. And as someone who's been building games for 18 years, it's got me saucy and excited, because this is exactly why when someone says make a game, they want the AAA that you're not going to have the team to support. This is sticky, and it's able to be deployed, expanded upon, and used. And not only that, the amount of Pulse, what's in the vault right now? 100 grand in Pulse? I think something like that.
More. Click the vault. Click the vault, Max. This is what we play this for.
I'm not the thing that has almost 4 billion Pulse in it.
160 grand right now worth.
So if you were
8 billion.
Yeah, so if you're in the top 5 families, you're going to be earning yield of that, and you're going to be sending that down to your families, called a down chain, if you will, multi-level marketing, if you will, selling Cutco cutlery based on where you were, or Hoover vacuums. All of these idioms on how sales, perpetuity, and exposure, all of this is here, and it's sticky. And what's even stickier is the way the tax token works. Giff and I were saucing back and forward about reflection tokens. And he's just like, I don't like it. And I'm like, there's something, we just haven't figured it out. Something. The way that it's being pushed back into the game on its binded loop is fascinating. It's sticky. I love every aspect of it, because when a whale dumps, right? Technically 20% of that based on what you're doing, or 16% of that based on what you're doing, goes right back into the local ecosystem of the game, not just the Mafia tokens. Now you're taking the side of the token of just Mafia in price, but not all the ecosystems that stack into the lower hierarchy of the game. So that has its own intrinsic value. The token has its own intrinsic value. And there's even 2 different chains, BNB and Pulse. And as you learn from Pulsar, we're binding 2 different tokens together over 2 different chains. I wonder if something like this was done on the other side. That would be really interesting. So now those in-game assets would be bound with the same deflationary mechanics as the actual tokens itself. Man, that's fascinating. Then we have SocialFi, which is the next level of decentralized or gamification of finance. SocialFi is what the Giff and I are doing with the Gearheads to build interactive stories that your character and your accomplishments, your back testing of how you existed in this game. So you're entertained, just like Maximus, are you not entertained? Actually has a real throughput. That could be a real NFT. That could be an honor badge for you. An example, I've got a signed Pip-Boy by Todd Howard. Came into my pod when I was working after a late night dancing, hungover as shit, slapped myself in the face, took 8 shots of espresso, and said, hey, Todd, you want to sign my Pip-Boy? Could I sell that for $1 million? Sure. Will I? No, it's mine. It's my story. I was there. And when you take that and you bind not just your token, but your story to it, it means so much more than being able to dump it. Why would you dump your own story? Why would you not support your own story? This is where we change not decentralized finance into something bigger than a number on a chart, but a reason to be in a family, a reason to start a family, a reason to put an expansion on something, a reason to build on top of what is being built in a modular component-based system. And it's the same thing we want to do at FanForge with audio dramas. We can dovetail all of things together. That makes it more than a fork of 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 a protocol of a fork. So much more.
My body starts rejecting espresso after the fourth shot.
Oh,
Eight's impressive.
You got to do 8.
Jump over to players now.
There are players for this game? How many?
Oh,
only
you can't
781?
Yeah, you
can. The wallet.
Dang.
Jacob.
Boy's number 1 though.
Let's see. Can I see anything?
Hold on one second.
Yeah, that's a lot of money in your wallet, bro. Where'd you get all that? I'm just playing. No, we could.
I don't.
Do a shift to 5.
1 sec.
You may have gotten too many clicks. No, you don't have to create.
I can't see a players that I can create a profile.
He may be doing a push to update. If not,
Jacob,
I'll share if need be.
And I did it already. I even connected.
No, hold on, I'll do it.
Dang, because we want to look at the profile too.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, I just had to scroll down.
There you go.
Why was there all that black space in between? Okay, gotcha.
He's updating in real time. And that's what I love about this project is that they are literally updating in real time. Like I'm up during the later hours when I think they're pushing, and I get to see the changes, and I try to report what I see to their people and their team. But
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Tell us about the players.
Click on my guy. I'm
You
at
played
the
this
number
game?
1 rank. I'm at
Oh, you're the number 1. If he gets that number 1 rank, okay.
All right.
Whoa,
look at those.
that's pretty cool.
I like them. All right. So if you scroll down, okay. So number 1, this is just a quick overview of some stats of this individual player. It does show like how much Mafia this player has, and then it shows if it has any kills, and then you can actually view the address on chain. You scroll down a little bit more. They've added this now. So if you're a Premium Plus member, which you just have to obtain one of those OG NFTs, they're currently on the market where you can buy them, and they're going down in price. So you wait another week, you might get a really good deal on one of these bad boys. But you get one of these that gives you the Profile Plus, lasts 90 days, gives you the ability to add a profile description there. As you can see, I've added in what AI views the dawn of the gearheads, or how AI views them within our story. So I was able to upload that. And then you can also set your game inventory to private, which is why you see that all blurred out there. That's a new addition as well. And then you've got your wallet inventory on the right-hand side, which is the safe. So everything here you cannot lose if you are, whacked, so to speak. Removed, blacklisted, that sort of a thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it turns it into what's called a roguelike game. Or if you're going to play any of the super games on hardcore mode, that's a roguelike game. And
now go ahead and click on the gearheads right there. Dawn of Gearheads. Just click on gearheads there, and then Kool-Aid can keep going. Jay, keep going, Bo.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just like the whole concept of this is multi-threaded, expandable, and super interesting. And that's what's really fascinating about the whole thing being played out in real time and where it can go. It's very easy to take something like tic-tac-toe to move it into something like Monopoly or Chutes and Ladders, to take that and expand into something like a text-based MUD, which is what this is right now. It is actually a text-based MUD. It's based on Drug Wars or Dope Wars, which is a TI-80 calculator, but there's other types of games that it's built on. It's built on tabletop or dice games. It's built on, you could spec it out to D&D. You could spec it out even to team building, right? Like an escape room. Essentially, a company will send you into an escape room to team build. This is family team building inherently of itself, that you earn yield. That can have longevity. That has consequences. Just like driving the wrong way on a one-way street, that has consequences. And so this is, damn, it's fucking interesting if you really want to break it down. Go ahead, Giff.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, scroll up a little bit. Scroll up on there. Yeah. Okay. So right here it shows family rank. HQ size is I think that's coming pretty soon.
Yep.
It should. I think it's coming out around the same time as the map that comes out.
I would assume so.
2 more weeks, right? LOL, but it really is probably around 2 more weeks. These guys are moving fast. The weekly payout. So 96 million Pulse will be paid out if the game went live tomorrow. Would be paid out to our family every week. So you would assume that, say this goes to the 6 million mark, which is my super low end, that there's 6 billion, or I'm sorry, 6 million, 6 billion Pulse in the vault when the game goes live. Just double that. Now you're looking at, it'd be 200 million Pulse paid out to our family every week. This is decentralized finance. Everyone gets caught up at the fact that it's a game. And the people who like the fact that it's a game are now, you're just participating in more decentralized finance, which is why everybody's here in the first place.
Right.
So just keep that in mind that, there's these storylines, there's this lore. It's a game that you play. You have to be worried about getting whacked or who you're going to go out and get whacked and, smuggling and all this other stuff that's going on. But don't get it twisted. This isn't a smash the button game where there is no rewards in the end. This is decentralized finance that just happens to be wrapped in a very cool game.
That's right. It's not a Frappy Bird. And shout out to the Syndicate, the OGs, the Mungs, all the hustlers, all the families doing their part. Right? This is about team building, having fun, and doing something besides smashing a button on a buy and sell wheel, besides smashing a button on a 5-minute chart. It is so much larger.
So this is a cool project. And one thing that you want to do, if you are a true gearhead in general, you like Giff-tec, one thing you want to do is you want to find new communities that are coming together and they're building really cool stuff, and you want to get involved. Like, resist the urge to be a maximalist in everything that you do, right? You want to find cool things that you can participate in, that maybe eventually we could wrap all into the Giff-tec community, because you never know what the future may hold. And this is a very cool ongoing project. The building is amazing. A lot of this, just real quick, I know you're hard stop, but click on the market. It's right there. Click on the market and then we'll be done. So market, and then click on. So first off, this is like a super cool version of the HSI market, right? With way more data, it's way more visually appealing, like well built. Cool. Now click on any one of those icons on the left that's up for sale. Yep, there you go. Anyone. Okay, cool. Now you've got a chart that shows the
armored car sounds cool.
There you go. So armored car is going to show the past performance of that NFT, that where it's been selling at. And then not only that, if you scroll down, it will show you active listings of that car that's currently on market, showing you all the prices. And on the right-hand side, it shows everybody who bought a car over there on the right-hand side and how much they paid for it. So this stuff is not easy to build. This is something I told Jacob when I was streaming with him the other day, and he knows it. I don't need to tell him this stuff. But I've built several sites of my own that's tracking statistics. Max does his stuff on the side. You know that this stuff is not easy to build, and it looks amazing. So this is good stuff. It's an exciting project to keep an eye on currently, is where I'll leave it.
Huge. And I agree, because we got to get to your hard stop. And I mean, look how beautiful this UI is. Look at how engaging active listings are. Look at how you can see what's coming before. When people were just speculating on the crate grabs, which are now card key openings, which are how you can get particular user content, we didn't know. But as this game is rolling out of early access, not live, we're seeing all these features come out, which is more engaging than any DEX or auction house or any of the rest of that stuff. It's fascinating. And it's DeFi wrapped in a game that's engaging. If you got a tiff with someone, you can go duke it out. Or you can build bridges like, Nerd Girl wanted to do back in the day, and all these things. There's so many things that you can do when you wrap gamification or gamefi on traditional or decentralized finance. And then the next level up is going to be the social fi.
Great segue from Tim here. Are we taking hex to parity? That leads into my final question here. 60 seconds. Is there anything dev cooking that you guys want to get the community excited about, or otherwise?
Not currently. Everything that I wanted to talk about, I've already spoken about. We've got 4 frying pans in the fire, so to speak, currently. And there's no rush on any of these, but we'd like to see Pulsar soon.
And not only that, we also have the Gearheads production studio as well. So like building that entire ecosystem on quality videos that correspond directly to in-game content, in-game actions, and all the rest.
All right, if y'all just got here, there have been some interesting conversation throughout the stream. And so, yeah, hashtag replay king. If you just got here, learn more about Giff-tec, current events, all that fun stuff. And we will have to see what the dev, can you smell what the dev is cooking? Just want to do that. Always want to do that. Always want to do that. All right, gents. You can find them both on Twitter, sometimes on YouTube, on my channel from time to time. And what's Telegram? Telegram Gifford Where Win. Is that right? At Gifford Where Win?
Yep.
Underscore win. Yeah. Gifford Where _ win.
Gifford Where _ win. All right. All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. We're right at time. Scivive and
55555.
We are out.